Magicka Templar build and rotation video. Very quickly, I'm going to go over the gear that I'm currently running. I am using the Apprentice Mundo Stone, using Witch Mothers, or the Clockwork Citrus Fillet, which is this. This is expensive. It costs roughly 3k gold per 2 hours. I would recommend only using this in trials that you're having difficulties beating, or if you're really trying to push for score. However, if you're really trying to push for score, I'm going to get this off my mind. I wouldn't recommend playing a Magplar in the first place. The reason for that is, although they are very fun, and they honestly aren't that far behind the other classes, they are still noticeably weaker than all of the other ranged classes. I would also strongly recommend being a vampire as a Magplar. As for the gear I'm in, I am in 3 Moondancer. This can be Infallible Aether or Master Architect. It really doesn't matter, even Willpower is fine. As for the monster set, I am using Falcons. The reason I'm running Falcons is because I'm using Witch Mothers. And Falcons gives a 1-piece health bonus, so I don't have to run attribute points into health or have a health glyph. Everything is max Magicka, and I have 64 points into Magicka, and I still have roughly 17k HP. If I was using the Clockwork Citrus Fillet, I would be at 17k HP. My other set is 5-piece Julianos. Julianos outperforms all the other sets I found. It's better than Twiceborn Star, it's better than Mother Sorrow, it's better than War Maidens. It's just the best 5-piece set you can run on as a Magplar. Of course, you want a Maelstrom's Lightning Staff on your back bar. Your front bar, this is where things can get iffy. Your front bar, the Asylum's Perfected Inferno Staff is the best thing you could have, but obviously that is very difficult to get your hands on. So if you do not have a Perfected Inferno, the other options would be either a Moondancer Staff, a Master Architect Staff, or an Infallible Aether Staff, or even a non-perfected staff. But if you happen to have a Perfected Inferno, it is BIS. If you have a Perfected Lightning Staff, it may also be decent, but I don't have one, so I haven't been able to test it, but I'm pretty sure Inferno is definitely the best front bar choice for a Magplar. As for my abilities, on my front bar, I'm using Vampire's Bane. Vampire's Bane is way better than Reflective Light this patch. I'm using Purifying Light, Force Pulse, Inner Light, Jesus Beam, and I'm slotting Empowering Sweep for the Piercing Spear passive. Piercing Spear passive is, it increases your critical damage done by 10% while you have an Aedric Spear ability bar on your bar. As for Purifying Light, this ability is bugged, and if there is another Magplar or a Stamplar in your group, and they are also using Purifying Light or Power of the Light, sometimes you will cancel each other's abilities. It's not all the time, but it's roughly 20% of the time. So if there's another Magplar in your group for whatever reason, or there's a Stamplar in your group, it might be worth taking this ability off and slotting Puncturing Sweeps for trash, and just running Meteor for more max mag and recovery. However, if you're the only Templar DPS in your group, Purifying Light is way higher DPS than using Force Pulse another time. So as for the actual rotation, the thing about Magplars is there actually isn't a set rotation. Basically, the only thing that always happens without fail is you will always, every 8 to 9 seconds, you will always use Blockade and the Blazing Spirit and the Bar Swap. After that, it changes every single rotation. Basically, you always want to keep Channeled Focus down. The key to using Channeled Focus is to not recast it when it disappears. You recast it when the major ward buff disappears. The reason is because even when you're outside of it, or say it despawned, it lingers for an 8 additional seconds. So if you recast it right when it disappears, you waste 1 cast for 8 seconds. Every time you cast it, you waste 1 second. So, as for your front bar dots, I prioritize keeping Purifying Light up over Vampire's Bane. So say both of these run out at the same time, I will recast Purifying Light first, and then Vampire's Bane. If you can help it, try not to cast Force Pulse as your last ability when you're bar swapping, if you're using the Asylum Staff. The reason for this is because if you see I have the buff up, so my next Force Pulse will be empowered with the Asylum Staff. Now, if I Force Pulse and animation cancel it, it actually doesn't work. You can see none of the effects applied. This is what it looks like when it works. See all the effects applied, you can see the fire, it's burning, you saw the lightning, and you can see the chill effect. But if you bar swap cancel it, it doesn't work. None of them went off. So try not to bar swap cancel Force Pulse if you're using Asylum Staff, but sometimes it can't be helped. And honestly, that's fine. As for execute phase, I still keep all of my dots up, and I Jesus Beam 1 to 2 times per rotation. Another thing you can do that I found to work quite well is during execute, I will keep the back bar dots up, and then I will immediately Jesus Beam. And then Force Pulse, and then Purifying Light, and then go back. And then if Vampire's Bane is down, Vampire's Bane at the start, and then Jesus Beam, and then Purifying Light into the bar swap. The reason for this is because Jesus Beam takes 3 seconds to channel, so it's hard to do a proper rotation. So using 1 Purifying Light, 1 Force Pulse, and a Jesus Beam, with every other you use the Vampire's Bane, it kind of fits with the rotation and it makes it flow kind of well, and you're also still keeping all of your buffs up from the Asylum Staff, because you're still casting Force Pulse. The only problem with this is sometimes the buff on your Asylum Staff will run out if you don't cast Force Pulse either second or third every single time. So it's kind of tricky, but it's actually kind of fun. So now I will do a proper parse, though I will be self-alloying, so it'll be a little low. So here we go. I'll try to talk my way through it, but this requires a lot of concentration because Magplars are very difficult. So again, I prioritize Purifying Light over Vampire's Bane, so I casted that first. Purifying Light ran out, so I recasted it. Now they both ran out at the same time, so I casted Purifying Light first again. You'll see I waited for my major word buff to run out first before I casted Channeled Focus again. Another thing, you can bar swap cancel Force Pulse and it won't be an issue, as long as when you do it, the buff isn't applied. Because it's every other with Perfected or every 2 with non-Perfected. So I just lost the DPS. So there we go, 36.1, not a bad parse. My best parse I've gotten so far, actually first, I want to go over the uptimes. So, Major Breach, Minor Magicka Steel were kind of low. So if I had somebody else LA draining, I would have gotten a little bit higher and my sustain would have been better. So the other thing about Magplars is the higher your sustain, the more damage you do, because if Jesus Beam scales off how much max magic you have and how much your current max magic is. So higher sustain equals higher damage, especially on a Magplar. Like, that's obvious, but on a Magplar it's even more so. Now, if you look at the buff up times, I had Minor Maim. This is pretty much only applied by the Asylum Staff. So the Asylum Staff basically gave me 47% uptime of burning minor maim, and minor vulnerability all by itself. What this means is I'm allowed to go a different enchant other than a shock. So instead of a shock enchant, you could go fire for more DPS, or absorb magicka for higher sustain. I haven't done too many tests, but I'm really liking absorb magicka right now. So again, you could go shock if you wanted, and it would still help minor vulnerability uptimes, but it's not necessary since you're using the Asylum Staff. If you're not using an Asylum Staff, you have to go shock still. So if you're using a Moondancer Staff, I would still go shock. But with an Asylum Staff, it opens up more options. You can literally go any enchant. Well, not any, but you can go fire, shock, or absorb magicka, and all of them would be viable, since you're already applying a lot of status effects with the staff. As of right now, though, I would honestly recommend using the Absorb Magicka enchant on a Magplar with if you're using the Asylum Staff. I think that's all. The only thing I haven't gone over is my CP, so I'll quickly go over that. My champion points, I have 75 points in the Thaumaturge to make use of the Exploiter passive. I have 28 points in the Master at Arms because we actually are doing a decent amount of direct damage attacks, but it's not worth putting any more than this. And then 31 Spell Erosion, since we're using the Apprentice Stone. If we were using Lover, we wouldn't put these points into Spell Erosion. Apprentice is better in Trials, except for unless your Alkosh and Crusher uptime are bad, and then Lover would be better than Apprentice. 40 Elfborn, since we have a decent amount of crit, and 56 Elemental Expert just for the flak damage. So that's all. If you have any questions or if you have any feedback at all, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I read them all and I usually reply. Thank you for watching.